What's going on? This is Wendell's World in Sports. I'm your host, Wendell Wallace. So glad that you could be with us. Bonjour, bonsoir, mademoiselle, monsieur. Je m'appelle Wendell Wallace, Wendell's World in Sports. So glad that you could be with us. Konnichiwa. Wendell's World in Sports. I'm your host, Wendell Wallace. So glad that you could be with us. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters. Wendell's World in Sports. I'm your host, Wendell Wallace. So glad that you could be with us. Que pasa, mi amigos? Mi llamo Wendell Wallace. Wendell's World in Sports. I'm your host, Wendell Wallace. So glad that you could be with us. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody is doing what they need to do to make this place a better place to be. This society, this block, this community, this neighborhood, this state, this region, this country, this world. I hope those who need to be educated, I hope those who need to learn are listening when someone is speaking in terms of what they need to do to improve the world that we live in. Listen, learn, shut up. Listen, learn, educate yourselves, move forward, take the knowledge of someone about what's going on in my community, what's going on in the gay community, what's going on in the Hispanic community, what's going on in the poor communities across the country, across the world. Take that knowledge, take that understanding, take what those people are giving you because you listened, you didn't debate, you listened and you learned and you take it to someone who needs to be educated, who needs to have their head taken out of the sand, who needs to learn what you were taught so you can make this world a better place. Pass that knowledge on to them and they'll do it to the next person and so on and so on and so on. That's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to move forward. It's not going to be happening in my lifetime. It's not going to be happening in your lifetime, but hopefully 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 years down the road, if the Lord decides that he's going to keep this world around that much longer, that hopefully in the year 2120, hopefully in the year 2080, hopefully in the year 2060, when I'm long gone and I'm reunited with my dad and Otis Redding and Sam Cooke and Malcolm X and John Lewis and Martin Luther King and all my brothers and sisters and my families and my aunts and my uncles, that hopefully when I leave this earth, that the place that I left it in is much better than what I have it in right now. The reason why I'm doing this podcast, or the reason why I'm doing this video podcast, the reason why I do my podcast, which is Wendell's World of Sports, that's spelled WENDELL' S and sports, SPORTS. The reason why I do this is because not only do I love to talk about sports, not only do I love to give you my passion and my excitement and my enthusiasm and my knowledge and my entertainment value pertaining to the world of sports, about what's happening in the world of sports, give you my thoughts and feelings about what's going on in the world of sports, but also I'm just as excited, I'm just as interested in the society that we live in today, which is affecting the world of sports, to try to move this society forward. So this is the platform that I'm using. This is the vehicle that I'm driving, to use my part, to play my part, to see what I can do to contribute to what's going to be happening, hopefully for a better society. I'm too young to march. I'm too young to fight, physically fight. I'm too young to get out there with the young folks. I got to find an avenue. I got to find something for me, which I enjoy, which I'm passionate about, to convey my message of unity, peace, harmony, understanding, listening, educating, togetherness, rising above. This is the vehicle I chose, is to do a podcast, Wendell's World of Sports, which you can find on Spotify, which you can find on iTunes. And also, as I start my YouTube channel, as I start my webpage and other things, that I can do this video-wise. Yes, hopefully the sound will get better. Yes, hopefully I'll get a camera so you can see my beautiful face a lot better. But yes, these are things that I'm going to be doing to help and try to move the message. I feel that my podcasts are good enough to where the audience needs to grow, but I need to do that. And I'm not doing enough from what I was doing before. So this is just an attempt to see what I can do to get my podcast out there, not just for selfish reasons, but also in terms of helping others. If I can, listen, somebody can listen and they can help one person, move forward and maybe discuss something, then I think that I've done my job. And I think that it'll be well worth me doing these type of things. So again, this is just the Cliff Notes version, the quick version of what I normally do in terms of my podcast. Again, it's a podcast that comes out multiple times a week. It's normally the length of time, or the length of the shows are normally between an hour and 45 minutes, 2.5 hours, sometime around there, again, depending upon what I want to talk about. Today, what I want to talk about, or what I was talking about the last couple of times on my podcast, which have already been published, which you can listen to if you have any type of, anywhere where you're listening to podcasts, hosting sites. What I was talking about in my podcasts the last couple of times is the situation which is going on in America concerning not only the attempted murder by this domestic terrorist posing as a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, when we're speaking about Jacob Jacob Blake, but also the situation with the NBA, the leadership of the NBA, the decision for the players and the NBA to go ahead and boycott Game 5 starting on Wednesday, when you had the Milwaukee Bucks and they decided, led by George Hill and Sterling Brown, that they were going to go ahead and they were going to cancel, they were not going to go out and play. And that resonated down, and the Orlando Magic decided, well, they had really no other choice, that they weren't going to play also. That was going to be the opponent for the Milwaukee Bucks. And after that situation happened, then you had the Game 5 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets, and Game 5 of the Portland Trailblazers versus the Los Angeles Lakers, all being canceled. And then Thursday's game, highlighted by the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks, they decided to cancel their games also. So Thursdays and Wednesdays Game 5s in the NBA were canceled, while the players wanted to send a message in terms of their anger, in terms of their frustration, in terms of their bewilderment of what we're going to be doing next as far as Black people, innocent Black people, or Black people who do not deserve to be murdered or try to be murdered, what we can do to move forward. Before I even start with that, because the narrative of those who are ignorant enough and who are stupid enough, who are closed-minded enough, who are uneducated enough to sit there and come up with the same type of deal all the time, which is, well, you know, every time a situation like this happens, there's always a yeah, but in it. And this situation with Jacob Blake, the situation is, well, you know, he was going for a weapon in his car and he resisted arrest and he allegedly raped a 14-year-old girl, and this guy had been arrested before. So because of that, the police officers were in their right, or the police officer was in the right, to go ahead and shoot this man 7 times in the attempt to kill him, which is absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Number one, the police came over to the house. They had no idea who Jacob Blake was. No idea whatsoever. And if you're walking around in the society as a free man, what happened to you before does not translate to someone being murdered by the police officer. So just because he was accused of rape in the past, just because he was arrested before in the past, does not give the police officer who's coming over there on the call of a domestic dispute between 2 women in which he was trying to break it up, that does not give the police officer the free rein to shoot somebody in the back 7 fucking times. Now, if you want to talk about him being resisting arrest, that should not warrant him being shot in the back 7 times. I don't give a damn if it was Ted Bundy reincarnated. I don't give a damn who it was. That does not mean you shoot somebody in the back 7 times. You want to shoot him in the ass, you want to shoot him in the foot, you want to shoot him in the leg, you want to shoot a warning shot, you want to tackle the guy, you want to tase him. You had multiple officers there. You're trying to tell me that you couldn't, if he was resisting arrest, if he was not obeying, that you could not have tackled the guy? That if you wanted to stop the guy, if everything else, you couldn't have at least shot him in a place where you couldn't paralyze him or shoot a warning shot? You couldn't have done that. You had to shoot the man in the back 7 times and now he's paralyzed? You're going to go ahead and try to explain to me that that was justified because allegedly he was alleged to have raped a 14-year-old girl, or he was arrested before? Do you know what he was arrested for? So this is a situation where people are speaking about, you know, you're dying on the wrong hill. We're not dying on the Jacob Blake hill. That's not our focus. Black folks' focus are not, doggone, we need to rally around Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake is the symbol of what's wrong, what's going on in this country. Why it's so frustrating and why it's so exhausting to be Black and trying to explain to people why we feel this way. It's because we're getting shot too many goddamn times for no goddamn reason, and you don't goddamn understand it. That's the reason why we're tired of the yeah buts. We're tired of there's a reason why that's not feasible. That's not acceptable. That's not even plausible. Well, he got killed because he was wearing a hoodie. Well, he got killed because he was in the wrong neighborhood. Well, he got killed because he was resisting arrest. Well, he got killed because he looked menacingly at a cop. Well, he got killed because the cop thought he was dangerous. Well, he got killed because the cop thought he had a gun. Well, he got killed because the cop thought that he had a weapon. Well, he got killed because the cop accidentally killed him. He got killed because, you know, he was a convicted felon before. He got caught because he had a rap sheet before. He got shot because he was in jail before. He got murdered because he got a C in history class when he was in 7th grade, so that makes him a bad person. He got murdered by the police because he talked back to him and didn't do what he was told to do. We're sick of that shit, man. We're tired of that shit, man. We've had enough of that shit. We're done with that. We're done with that. And we try to explain this to folks time and time again, and they don't listen. And I think the frustration, bringing it back to what happened with the decision for the Milwaukee Bucks to boycott Game 5, which trickled down to the other teams participating in the playoffs in the NBA bubble in Orlando, and then moved over to Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer, and eventually to the National Hockey League, and the feelings that Naomi Osaka felt in her boycotting the semifinals in the tournament that she was in. It's not about Jacob Blake. That's not what we're speaking about. That's not our anger. That's not our frustration. That's not the reason why we're boycotting. It plays a part. It plays a role, but it's another situation where, again, a black man is being, luckily he wasn't murdered, but a black man once again is being violated. And how much marching do we have to do? How many more stores do we have to burn down? How many more communities do we have to burn down to the ground to get people to realize that this is serious? That no, this is not a situation where, well, he was wearing a hoodie, or he was in the wrong part of town, or he should have complied with the cop and should have done this and should have done that. No, that's not, that's bullshit moving forward, man. So when people are sitting up there again and speaking about bringing up all these yeah buts, you're missing the point. And in the case of Jacob Blake, you're missing the point again. And for black folks like myself, and for LeBron James and Chris Paul, I'm not equating myself with LeBron James and Chris Paul. What I'm saying is that black men, and you take a look at powerful black men, important black men, powerful black men in terms of their importance, in terms of their impact, not just on our community, not just on the black community, not just in the United States, but globally. You look at someone like a LeBron James, who's right up there with Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, in terms of the most recognizable and most impactful and most powerful athletes in the world today. And you have LeBron James, who can do so many important things, and it can have such an impact. But yet, I guess with LeBron, he feels so powerless in this situation. Chris Paul feels so powerless. James Harden feels so powerless. Moving over to other sports, Mookie Betts feels so powerless. Naomi Osaka feels so powerless. Evander Kane feels so powerless. What do we do? As black folks, what do we do? What more can we do? What more do we have to do to get it across to the ignorant, like the Mike Ditkas and the Brian Urlachers, who sit up there and talk about Mike Ditka, who has great renown, great reverence for Walter Payton, but yet and still will make such ignorant comments concerning the black community and what we're trying to do to move the society forward, to bring unity and harmony and togetherness. When you listen to the ignorance of Brian Urlacher, who played with many black folks with the Chicago Bears, and by all accounts, during his playing time, none of this stuff really came up as far as publicly is concerned. What, after being in the locker room with so many black folks, how could you leave the sport after over a decade of playing and being surrounded by these teammates who were black and they were strong and they were educated and they were warm and they were friendly and y'all were like brothers and all this type of stuff. You're going to try to tell me you leave that locker room and within 5 or 6 or 7 years, Erlacher, you're talking this stupidity? You're talking this nonsense? You're talking this bullshit? What's up with that? What do we need to do? I don't know, as a black man in this country, or black people in this country, brown people in this country, Hispanic people in this country, gay people in this country, women in this country. I don't know what more we can do. I don't know what more we can say. What other avenue? Again, what for those who feel that Black Lives Matter is contributing to racism and these marchers and protests and are causing riots and that's the reason why they're dividing this country. For those who are so ignorant to actually think that way, if you want to listen to the Coons and the Toms and the Sambos like Larry Elder or Candace Owen or the Hodgkin twins or Paris Denard and those type of folks who want to demonize black people, if that's the folks that you're going to represent your views, if you're a white person and you feel that way in terms of BLM is a hate group and these protesters are really not doing it, and the NBA people is a joke, and the woke is a nonsense, and all of this type of stuff. And the reason why I feel comfortable in saying that is because I can go ahead and take a look at Paris Denard, and I can go ahead and bring out Candace Owens, or I can go ahead and talk about the Hodgkin twins, or I can go ahead and talk about Terrence Williams. And these grifters, these coons, these Sambos are saying the same thing, but they're black, so obviously they coincide to what I'm talking about. So hey, I'm cool. I must be right, right? So instead of listening to the 75%, the 80% of black folks who know what's going on, you're going to be listening to the 20% of those who are either A, hate themselves so much that they would go ahead and demonize who they actually are, or you're being played. Some of these black folks are playing your dumbasses because they know that type of shit works in places where people have these types of thought patterns, where people have this type of ignorance when it comes to our community, when people have this type of stupidity in terms of what we're trying to do to move things forward. These black folks, the Hodgkin twins and Candace Owens, they're using y'all as income. They're using y'all as tools. They're playing your stupid asses. The 10% of the 20% who actually go out and espouse this shit, half those motherfuckers don't even believe the bullshit that they're talking about. But they know you do, and they know if they say what you want them to hear, they know that you'll donate money so they can talk that stupidity, so they can talk that jive, so they can talk that bullshit. They know that you'll send them money, and you'll send them money upon money. You know that they'll be able to go speak at your conventions. You know that they'll be able to speak on your shows. And that's their income. That's their game. That's their hustle. They don't believe the stupid shit that comes out of their mouths, but they know you do. So for those who think that, well, my thoughts and feelings about BLM being a hate group and LeBron's a joke and these NBA players are a joke and all these guys wanted to do was take the day off because these guys are up here trying to make a martyr out of a criminal and a rapist and all these type of things. For those who are stupid enough to believe that, and those who don't want to take the times of the large majority of black folks who know better than that, because you are so lazy, because you are so ignorant and wanting to hold on to your wrong perspective, that you'll go to Candace Owens for justification, that you'll go to Paris Denard for justification because they wear a suit and tie and they speak well. So that's going to be the situation that you're going to die on. That's going to be the hill that you're going to die on. That's going to be your teammate in this debate. Nothing I can do for you. Nothing I can say for you. So moving forward, man, I don't know in terms of when we speak about LeBron and we speak about Doc Rivers and we speak about the plea that black folks have in terms of what we can do to make this society better. And for right now, the only time that something like this is going to resonate and maybe have people start really listening is when it happens to them. You see, white folks, for the most part, they don't have to worry about this shit because they're never going to be discriminated because of the color of their skin. A white cop is never going to pull over a white person just based on the color of their skin. Now, it might be because of maybe of something else, but it's never going to be because of the color of their skin. Someone is never going to be discriminated because of the color of their skin if they're going to be trying to move into a community that's predominantly white, that's predominantly affluent. Their kids are never going to be hassled because of the color of their skin if they go to their schools. It might be something else. It might be because they're fat. It might be because their hair sucks. It might be because of the clothes they wear. It might be because of the way they talk. All of these things might come into play in terms of why a white person might be discriminated against, made fun of, and made their lives a living hell. Might be one of those things, but it's never going to be the color of the skin. It's never going to be because of the color of their skin. White folks ain't going to be moving into places where there's going to be predominantly black folks living there. They just ain't. White flight, that's what it's called. So until some of these issues, until some of these things that we're going through right now, police brutality, oppression, segregation, discrimination, until these things start happening to white people just based on the color of their skin, white people are always going to have that front for the most part. And I don't paint any race with a broad brush. So when I say white folks, I'm speaking about the majority of white folks. And when I say the majority of white folks, I'm speaking over 50%. That's just the way it goes as of this moment in time right now. Now, hopefully, as we keep moving forward, hopefully, as we keep trying, because we ain't giving up. Hopefully, as we keep moving and we keep trying and we keep listening to what we need to do from our elders in terms of those who paved the way for black folks, for brown folks, for oppressed folks to be in the position where we are right now. Hopefully, we can take those lessons and we can move this forward. And hopefully, we're not going to convince my generation, if we're not going to convince the generation after me, if we're not going to convince the generation before me, hopefully, we can convince that 20-something-year-old. Hopefully, we can convince that teenager. Hopefully, we can go ahead and do that. Hopefully, LeBron James can go ahead and do that. Hopefully, Chris Paul can go ahead and do that. Hopefully, Evander Kane can go ahead and do that. Hopefully, Mookie Betts can go ahead and do that. And then in turn, as the tide starts to swing and the pendulum starts to swing, not only the LeBron James, not only the Andre Iguodala's, not only the Chris Pauls, not only the black folks from tennis and hockey and baseball and basketball and football, not only just the black athletes, not only just the black people, not only just the black politicians from the right side of town trying to convey that message, trying to educate those who need that message. Moving back now to athletics, hopefully along with trying to promote that message, hopefully trying to educate those to be on the right side of history, hopefully not only are the LeBron James and the Chris Pauls are going to be, not only are those guys going to be trying to spread the message, hopefully Drew Brees can spread that message. Hopefully Tom Brady can spread that message. Hopefully Clayton Kershaw can spread that message. Hopefully Mike Trout can spread that message. Hopefully Roger Federer can spread that message. Hopefully Conor McGregor can spread that message. Hopefully Luka Doncic can spread that message. Hopefully the superstars who are white from all over the world can start spreading that message. Hopefully Sidney Crosby can spread that message. Hopefully Alex Ovechkin can help spread that message. And that's the way we're going to do things. That's the way we're going to move forward. And for those who keep speaking about LeBron James and these guys, and I hate always keep bringing up LeBron James, but at the stature that LeBron James is in, the first words out of my mouth in terms of an athlete with power and is willing to use that power and is willing to speak up on social issues, the first name that comes to my brain and out my mouth is LeBron James. Here's the thing. Right now, in this moment of time, where people are speaking about what a waste of time this is, about how these protests don't mean anything, how Black Lives Matter is nothing more than a negative in terms of bringing peace and harmony and the cause for the things that we need to do as a community to integrate, to get better, to have our own place at the table, to make our own rules, to make our own laws in terms of who we are and what we are and what we need to do to move forward. If you remember, if you look at the history of our country, if you take a look at all the movements of our country, especially when it comes to minority communities, like the women's suffrage movement, when we're speaking about the civil rights movement, at the time that it was happening, the same type of attitude in terms of the majority was the same back then as it is right now. The athletes in the 60s were being told, shut up and just play. You don't need to go marching. You don't need to be listening to Martin Luther King. You don't need to be doing all that nonsense. Your job is not to go ahead and help your people. Your job is not to go ahead and try to integrate schools. Your job is not to go ahead and see what you can do to help the advancement of Black people, of colored people, of Negro people in this country. Your job is just to shut up and play. That's what it was back in the 60s. We look at the 60s now in terms of the civil rights movement with a degree of, wow, that was great. Wow, that was wonderful. Wow, that was so courageous. But we also forget that during that time, during the civil rights movement, that movement was considered to be a movement of negativity. That movement was considered by white folks at that time to be a movement of fear. That was the movement in the civil rights terms. That was supposed to be, that was defined as something that was going to be a plague for our country. Why do you think J. Edgar Hoover played a role in Martin Luther King getting assassinated? Why did J. Edgar Hoover play a role in trying to bring down the destruction of the Black Panthers and the murder of Malcolm X? The assistance along with the Nation of Islam in the murder of one of the most outstanding people in the 20th century here in America, the great Malcolm X. We revisit this history. So we're not listening moving forward now. This forward movement that we're having right now in terms of trying to gain equality, trying to gain our place at the table in terms of Black folks is concerned, in terms of brown folks are concerned, in terms of women are concerned. We're not listening. We're no longer appeasing to white people or for those who don't agree or don't see or the coming of what's going to be happening in terms of the betterment, in terms of the movement of our country. We're no longer concerned about your thoughts and feelings. We're no longer concerned about hurting your feelings. We're no longer trying to put together a message to make sure that it can soften the blow. We're not tiptoeing around this. We're breaking down that motherfucking door when it comes to it. We're no longer asking. We're telling. We're no longer caring about those like the Mike Ditkas, and those like the Brian Urlachers, and those like the Clay Travises, and those like the Kurt Schillings, and those who want to sit there and talk about, oh, well, this is a waste of time. We're not worried about the coons like Jason Whitlock. We're not worried about the Sambos like Candace Owens. We're not worried about the clownsters like Paris Denard and the Hodge twins. We're not worried about those grifters. We're not worried about those clowns. We're not worried about those house Negroes. We're not worried about them. This needs to be done, and Black folks in our community and our allies, no matter where you're from, whether it's from the white community, the Asian community, the Hispanic community, the Republican community, the Christian community, the Jewish community, we don't care. We're moving forward. And it's almost symbolic of what's happening in sports, how it's similar to what's happening in the world today. When you see the people marching, when you see the people protesting, when you see those folks out there on the street, it ain't just Black. It's folks from all over in terms of the races, the places, the faces, and such, and the genders. Same thing in sports. Moving forward now and seeing what we can do from the platform that these strong Black men have. They have allies. They have allies, whether they're from Latin American countries, whether they're from European countries, whether they're from Canadian provinces, whether they're from the rural areas of the United States, whether they're from Appalachia, whether they're from the hoity-toity Beverly Hills or Potomac, Maryland. Doesn't matter. There's folks who are joining this revolution day by day. There's folks outside of our community joining this revolution day by day. So it's frustrating. And I just wish that it was a situation where we can move a little bit faster. I would have loved to be in a situation right now where I didn't have to speak about this. And I could just mainly focus on such nonsense as what's going to be happening with the Dallas Cowboys, or how is Aaron Rodgers going to perform now since he got his feelings hurt with the Green Bay Packers. I wish I could go ahead and have the debate upon who's better in basketball all time, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. I wish I could sit there and talk about who's the better running back, Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley. I wish I could have these conversations about who's going to be the best quarterback out of the class of Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Sam Darnold and those guys. I wish I could just concentrate on that. I wish I really could. Believe me, white folks and other folks who sit there and think that, we love playing a race card or this type of other, or we love bringing up racism. No, we don't. No, we don't. It's exhausting. It's exhausting being black in this country. It's exhausting and frustrating. It really is. But this is something that we have to do. This is something from time to time, doing my sports talk show, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So, I've got nothing but love for those who got love for everybody. I do. I don't care what color you are. There's plenty of black folks out there who hate on us, man. There's plenty of black folks out there who are selfish enough to sell drugs in our community for the betterment of them. There's black folks out there running around killing folks just because they don't like black people. And there's plenty of white folks out there who will be with me every step of the way in terms of seeing what we can do. Not only just white folks, but also Asian folks and Muslim folks and gay folks and gay white males and lesbians and trans and folks who are atheists and all those type of stuff, man. So when I speak about we can do this, when I speak about what we need to do, man, I say it from an Afrocentric point of view, but this club is open for everybody. We do not discriminate. I don't give a damn. I'll work with anybody. I don't give a damn who you are. If your goal is to go ahead and promote true equality, not just on your terms, in terms of, well, yeah, we'll promote equality, but, we want to do it this way. You can't vote for the jackass that we have in the White House right now and then talk about you want true equality, that you're trying to work the goal of true equality for everybody. You can't have it both ways. That's like me saying, I'm going to try to do everything that I can to lose weight and get into shape. Oh, yeah, but I'm also going to go eat at McDonald's because I love their Big Mac fries and quarter pounders. So I'm going to go eat them. I'm gonna go eat the 2 Whoppers for $5, but I'm still gonna see what I can do about losing weight and become the best shape of my life. It doesn't work that way. And that's the same thing about those who are sitting there talking about, yeah, I want true equality. I want black people to be able to do the same things and have the same rights that I have. But oh yeah, come November, I'm gonna vote for that asshole that's in the White House right now. You can't do it. You can't do it. You're not really serious if you are. So there you go. All right, man, that's it. I am done. I want to thank everybody for listening to what I have to say. I'm going to be doing more of these. This is unscripted also. So if I bounced around from place to place to place to place, I didn't have time to sit there and come up with something in terms of a roadmap to get me to point A to point B. But hopefully I hit enough things in the time that was allowed for me to go ahead and speak about what's happening. So this is just the first video of Wendell's World in Sports. Again, man, let's go ahead, find my podcast, like, rate, review. Don't matter, it don't matter if you say I suck. Don't matter. Just listen. Just listen. I want you to listen, see what I'm talking about, see if it's something that you agree with, see if it's something that you can take in terms of entertainment value, educational value, whatever, man. It's for whatever you like. What's my, what type of folks am I trying to reach? Folks who want to be entertained. That's it. That's all I am. That's all I'm all about. So, yeah, man, this has been Wendell's World in Sports, the video version. Again, WENDELL' in sports. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it anywhere where you listen to podcasts. Y'all be safe. Y'all be good. Listen, learn, listen to people so we can make this place a better place to be. Not for us, but for our children and their children and their children and their children. Peace.